There are very few people who haven't heard of Bond. British Secret Service, 007, License to Kill.
In this movie, you know, as much as we've been talking about how like Bond does have a reputation, they say repeatedly, Bond has a reputation, not to the general public, but to the spy world, which is exactly what you would expect. That like there'd be dossiers on him all over the place in different intelligence agencies. Like that works. Random people knowing who he is stupid, and that makes for a good joke, but it's stupid within the Bondverse. That being said, we've talked before about how like the Walther PPK, when people are like only one man on the planet uses a Walther PPK, this movie takes that into account, where the arms dealer is like
mass production. Your Walther PPK, for instance, I leave to others.
That dispels with the whole thing of like only one man uses it. Scaramanga and the arms dealer, they know that James Bond 007 uses a Walther PPK, but they never say it's exclusive to him. It's his preference. Like they understand, just like he prefers vodka martinis, he's not the only man on the planet that drinks vodka. So like all these little details are why for me, this is like so far,
it's underrated versus being,
I think this movie is
like discarded as
far
much more as
underrated. I think people discard this movie, and I honestly don't know why. I mean, again, I think every Bond movie has missteps, and
they're not all perfect.
And they're not all. I mean, we've talked before about how like Dr. No is technically perfect, but the scope is so low. Like they really don't make any missteps in the movie. But like the scope is so small, and it was easy to be perfect.
More like a detective movie.
Yeah, it didn't reach all that far. It was perfect at its scale, and since then movies have been like trying to like up that scale, and they've either had missteps or they have not. But this is my number one. I put this movie at the top.
Yeah,
I understand that you are like, probably going to disagree, but like I can't help but think that your opinions are just based on like other people's popular opinions. I think this movie is so easily overlooked, but when you watch it in just with that idea of like we've been watching this man for 9 movies, and he's just, you know, oh, he saved the world again. Oh, he saved the world again. This is the same guy who saved the world over and over and over. And now we're seeing this story, his personal story continuing into just the world. Like this movie is about reputation. This movie is about like, you know, it's living within that shadow world of the spies. And it's like your reputation versus mine. And like Highlander style, there can only be one, like a showdown. And again, all this stuff, like so far, it's like you're like, oh, the car plane's weird. Sure, but like we talked about, that's Scaramanga pulling some Bond. Good Night is annoying. Sure. Good Night's annoying. But like when it comes to Bond and the bad guy, I think it's the best bad guy we've come across, and I think you know, people would be like, oh, I wish it was Sean Connery, and it's like. Some people would just rate Sean Connery movies above the rest because they just can't accept the fact that Bond could ever be anybody else. But Roger Moore, again, is a Bond purist. He is Bond in this movie. He's charming and he's like seductive. He's wittier and he's balancing all these things, and he's a fucking asshole. Like he's like pure Bond in that sense, where he's like not taking any shit, and he's like getting exactly what he needs to get the bad guy. And the whole movie, again, like. Energy crisis in the background. The movie is it's a personal story of this super spy going against this super assassin and besting that guy on his own ground. Like taking advantage of that guy's ego, and that guy Scaramanga has this odd man crush obsession with Bond.
Ours is the loneliest profession, so let us spend a few pleasant hours together. How can I refuse such a gracious invitation? Splendid! Splendid!
He comes in there and takes full advantage of it to like defeat him on his own turf. Now, like, it's interesting when you bring up like, well, what if Miss Anders was there the whole time and all that? And like, I can't see how, like, unless you laid out exactly how that would play out, all we have is the movie as it is. Like, and within that realm, it's like, well, Scaramanga killing her is like, that only beefs up Scaramanga's character. And again, like for me, coming down to just Bond and the bad guy, I think Roger Moore is perfectly Bond in this movie. And I think Chris Lee as Scaramanga is like fucking stellar bad guy. Like just straight up equal but opposite entities going face to face. It's not our Blofeld stealing the world, and that's all well and good, but this is like our first foray straight up into the world of the spy and like how these people have reputations. Because again, for the millionth time, it's not you and me. You and I, all of us, we're not Bond. Bond, you got to put yourself in the character of Bond and how he has fought all these guys who have these crazy egos, and he's come out, and now we have this guy who's got like the ultimate ego.
To us, Mr. Bond, we are the best. I could have shot you down when you landed, but that would have been ridiculously easy. Like every great artist, I want to create an indisputable masterpiece once in my lifetime. The death of 007, mano a mano.
And where Scaramanga's like, I'll give you 6 bullets. You're 6 against my 1. I only need the 1. That's fucking fantastic. And Bond is just wasting bullets left and right. And, you know, and Knick-Knack's like, you're down to 3. And then at one point, he's down to 0. He straight up loses his gun.
Oh, crap. My phone just died.
Great. Do we want to wait?
Mano y mano.
Mano y mano.
3 weeks later.
We're back!
Yay.
Everybody had Easter and vacations and stuff.
Nice little break.
Yay.
Nobody's randomly tan. Nobody really looks different. Nans has a new setup. Anyway, yeah. Quick history. In that blink of an eye, we didn't have enough opinions to come to a conclusion on Man with the Golden Gun. We did nothing but disagree the whole time. And then we had tech difficulties where we couldn't continue. So we all broke up with each other for 3 weeks later. So, but now
there was
we have
a whole
Scott.
montage in a movie that you guys all missed where, you know, we
Yeah.
all like were reflective on each other's lives. And then we were like, man, we need to bring the band back together.
Yeah.
You guys missed it. It was
Rage is coming back, guys. It's coming back. It's like the Beatles. It's like, I'm in if Paul's in. I'm in if John's in. I'm in if Ringo's in. You know. All right. Anyway, so that was all. That was all the Beatles mashed into one voice.
I love it.
Anyway, where we stand is, idiot me think movie good, movie real good. I still, for me, it's a list topper. I might be the only person on the planet with that opinion for all I know, but I think this movie is highly undervalued. I think there's deep fucking value in this movie that nobody sees.
Every episode's gonna have a GameStop reference.
Crossover.
But yeah, we're not millionaires yet for some reason.
No.
And then McCurdy, your view is
Should be somewhere towards the bottom. But, you know, I'm going to say this. Some of the points you made, I would say somewhere in the middle. It's kind of where I feel.
We mostly disagree on, like, we agree that Goodnight is detrimental and she's obnoxious, but we agree on that. We disagree on the weight. Like, if this was a weighted grade, you're like, well, you really have to count that Bond girl in there. And I'm like, you know. And then also just on other trivial things like the energy crisis subplot and stuff like that.
I've taken all accounts in. Good night, Nans and McCurdy. I agree with you more than I agree with Charlie. She doesn't add anything, but she's a field officer. She's not a 007. So
Yep.
anything, all the mistakes she makes are almost understandable in a way.
They're
I mean,
all
some
bad
point-
luck. Every single one of them is bad
Well,
luck.
Besides the point where she has the Solex and she should just go.
All that being said, Captain Kirk, is this movie better than Goldfinger because of some like minuscule stuff that Charlie's like, you guys, this movie is so much better than what people are telling you because of this, this, and this. It is much better than Goldfinger. I don't think it's better than Goldfinger or From Russia with Love.
Okay, if McCurdy's gonna jump into that though, this would be an opportune moment for me to go through my Goldfinger list.
His butt is hurty.
His butthole is dirty. Okay,
it's dirty, Scott.
Goldfinger is like it's like ooh, it's Citizen Kane. It's like untouchable. It's the greatest film ever made. Goldfinger's great, but it also has all these like little nitpicky why is that in there type of things, and it happens to be in my book any Bond movie with the word gold in it is going to be awesome, but all the same, let me just run through a couple of things. So Goldfinger has a prologue that has nothing to do with the overall story, whereas The Man with the Golden Guns prologue perfectly bookends the overall story. This movie is unique and specific unto itself, whereas like all the Goldfinger iconic stuff is like almost interchangeable with every other movie in the franchise, as far as Connery's concerned. The gangster scene in Goldfinger makes no sense at all. Like, he just tells all these guys his overall plan, and then he just murders them all. So it's like, why didn't he just murder them all? You can say, like, oh, that's his ego, but, like, usually that's what they do before they kill Bond at the end because they want somebody to give them validation or whatever. Like, yes, you're a genius. Yeah, that's usually what Bond is doing. He's like, yeah, you're a genius. But, like, Goldfinger just tells all the gangsters what he's going to do with their money, and then he just murders all of them. Like, murdering them makes sense so he can keep the money, but why go through this big elaborate scene of explaining the heist except just to give the audience that information and give Bond that information? Like, it doesn't make sense. Goldfinger has a bunch of goofy shit. That was my whole case against like that versus From Russia with Love. It just not worth getting into, but it is just, it's goofy. Guy Hamilton is he makes goofier movies. Chew Me is so much more believable as a name and therefore works better than Pussy Galore. But you know, like whatever. They're both awesome. Knick Knack and Oddjob are very similar, and like people sometimes get them mixed up. But Knick Knack is more plugged into this story and is more than just the muscle. He's easily underestimated and can be very deadly and sneaky, and has a much more interesting relationship with his master than Goldfinger. You know, with the whole, like, he's trying to get his money thing. He's literally trying to kill Scaramanga, but they kind of have this odd love-hate relationship, whatever. Their showdown is perfect for their characters, not a punch-for-punch or a goofy airplane death that Goldfinger had, but it's a straight mano-y-mano duel. Bond solves the problem with his dick. Oddjob's cool, and the Aston Martin is cool. That's really what it comes down to. Goldfinger, like, for the millionth time, I love all these movies, but you can nitpick every last one of them.
Mm-hmm.
At least up to this point. Oh, and Tilly Masterson is just as bad, if not worse, than Goodnight.
No, she's not. Because to me, Tilly Masterson at least is like, my sister got murdered. And regardless of that, it's not like she's trying to get in Bond's way because she's like, Bond, you just got in my way. I'm trying to go after the bad guy. And now you're just driving right up to me. Like, did nobody in the Secret Service teach you, like, if an agent is, like, tailing somebody, maybe don't drive right in front of them?
But she went to pick him up. She went to pick him up. Like, she
parked
just,
right
like,
in front of the other car, and he's, like, he's obviously ready to go to the other side. Hold on.
Oh, wait, hang on. I know, but you're suddenly jumping back into all the same shit.
I am not jumping back into the same shit. It's not the same shit.
Yeah.
The problem is like, you're like, Tilly Masterson's just as bad. I'm like, no, Tilly Masterson, like, was seeking revenge, and yes, she dies, but at least she wasn't, like, getting in Bond's way purposely. It was like, she was more focused on trying to do her own mission.
She shot at Bond, and then she tripped the tripwire.
She didn't know Bond was after her.
But she tripped the tripwire that then completely fucked up Bond's entire thing, getting her killed, and then almost getting Bond.
Tilly Masterson does not annoy me. Annoy me in the least.
Let me go! You're breaking my back!
What the hell are you doing here?
I want to kill him!
Kill who?
Goldfinger!
Well, I want him alive.
I want him dead. He killed my sister.
She's a terrible actress, and she probably banged the producers to get. She was hopping up and down on Cubby's broccoli in order to get that role.